So one of the first things that they teach in law school is this thing called IRAC, which stands for Issue, Rule, Analysis, and Conclusion. So it's a process that every lawyer is supposed to go through with any issue that kind of comes across their table, right? So the first thing is what's the issue? Is there a problem? And you guys encounter problems every single day with every transaction. No transaction is the same, right? So what's the issue? Like, what am I dealing with here? What's the rule? So what's your responsibility as an agent? So in our capacity, we're thinking about, well, as a lawyer, what's the law, that's going to apply to this issue? And then you have to do an analysis. How does that rule apply to this issue? Is it applicable, and all these other types of things, right? So like, yes, okay, I'm thinking about this, and then what's the conclusion? What's the ultimate answer here? So we're going to kind of walk through a couple scenarios, and I want you guys to kind of help me apply that IRAC to these situations. One of these situations is only going to be applicable if you're an actual realtor. So we'll kind of just...
Thank you for saying it right. Realtor.
And so I'll let you know which one that one is.
Do you guys have an issue with lawyer? Is that the same thing with you guys? Do you care about that?
I don't even hear it.
You don't?
Because we have lawyer, counselor.
Well, ours is realtor or realtor. So we always, so we always say you don't go to the doctor. You go to the doctor, and we're realtors.
That's funny. All right, so here's the first kind of scenario. Okay, we have an agent. She lives, a real estate agent. She's a realtor. She lives in a co-op. Her neighbor requests that is moving to Florida and wants to list his unit. Ask her to list his unit. She lists his unit. The unit is empty. She virtually stages the unit, puts the pictures up on the MLS. She uses photos from a prior listing to put them on the MLS. So many things. See, we're thinking. But then she gets notified, hey, these photos shouldn't be on here. They're from a prior listing. She says, oh, I'm sorry, I pulled them down. I got permission to use the aerial photos. So I'm going to keep the aerial photos up there because I got permission to do that. One of the aerial photos has this red square around this part of the building that is listed for sale. She receives an ethics complaint, and they request a hearing for ethics violation. What did she do wrong? So she listed it. She sold it. Buyer's super happy. Her complaint came from somebody who lives in the building with her. So what issues do you perhaps...
Does she not have... Oh, wait, no.
I'm zipping it. Brokers not allowed?
I'm backing away.
Everybody, right?
Co-op? Okay, yeah. What's the issue here, though?
Do you not have to receive board approval, and she could be considered, or like the resident approval, and she is one of the residents?
Okay, so if I mean for the new buyer,
kind of thing.
You mean for the new buyer? So conflict of interest. So we're getting there. That's along. That is very good.
What?
Right? Isn't it the board? I actually haven't done it a lot.
I know, but you're going good.
Yeah. We're going in the right direction. Yeah. So conflict of interest is on the right avenue.
And she didn't disclose. Did she disclose that she was both?
Disclose what?
That she was both the agent and a resident of, so then she would be on that board approving, correct?
Ding, ding. So it's very good. So it's not so much on the board approving, because she may not be on the board that's actually approving the new buyer, but she's an owner. Because as a co-op, everybody owns she's basically selling her own property. Right? And she did not disclose that. Now that's tricky though, right? I mean, this is a really good agent. She has a long history. And so a lot of people perhaps would not consider that they are an owner. So when you're an owner, you need to disclose that you have an ownership interest in that, right? So that's one of the...
That's a very good stump the broker one too.
And that's different than if it was a condo though, correct?
Yes, right. So condos are not, there are individual units, right? So unless it's your own property, you always have to disclose if it's your own property. But here, she's like, but there's 3 separate buildings. Yes, but it's all one co-op. So you actually own an interest in everything. So that's an issue. Any other issues with that scenario, potentially? I hear some nods, see some nods. If I heard nods, I'd be...
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if we heard nods.
Issues as far as MLS, or issues as far as like... there's a few things MLS...
Yes, go ahead, because that's one of the things that I was going to try to urge somebody like you to talk about in this scenario. Yes.
Sure. Go for it. What do we see? What do we see?
In relation to like the aerial.
What's the red square?
So it's on the photo. So you know how sometimes on the, you'll like, so here it's a building. And so it's a multi-level building and they're trying to highlight, like, this is the unit. But in this case, that was not the correct unit. It was highlighting because she used prior aerial photos that she actually had permission to use, but it was highlighting the wrong unit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's misrepresentation as well.
Right. So it could possibly be misrepresentation of what you're selling, right? Now, this is from a lawyer's perspective, I feel like that's pretty weak. But again, it did get brought up and a hearing was requested for this type of scenario. Okay, so just be careful. Again, only use your photos. If you're using others' photos, I believe you need to have written permission to do that for those photos. And I don't know if you want to say anything about aerial photos specifically.
She wants me to say virtually staged without disclosing it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, so that's the other issue here we're talking about.
And then the aerial photos, even though you got permission, because aerial photos usually require a drone. So sometimes whoever's using that drone, usually 99% of the time, they also have rights to that they have not released. They've only released for the sale of that home to so-and-so for this particular time period. So just make sure, even though you have verbal permission, that you have written permission, especially with aerials, videos, those, make sure you have that, because sometimes when you hire somebody, let's say that the previous agent hired it, right? And even though the client has access to them, says, sure, go ahead and you can use them. Maybe they didn't even have ownership of it at all. And number two, RAINN doesn't like you to reuse anything within it. So the first thing they're going to do is flag and ask you for that proof that you do own it. And if you don't have that proof, and you go, yeah, they said, because it's not really the other agent or anyone's going to come after you per se. Most of them won't. They can, but most of them won't. But it is something that RAINN will be like, this was just in the last listing. Do you own it?
Yeah.
And you'll have to show proof. So yes.
So I actually have my real estate photographer came across this issue. She took shots for an Airbnb. And then the listing agent went and took her photos and listed it with them without her permission.
Yeah.
Thinking it was the client, thinking that the client said it's okay, and the client in their head thinks they own it. It's my house, my pictures, right?
The owner is an agent.
I mean,
so she said, no, I charge a fee if you're going to use it for additional.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sure that's what I'm saying. A lot, especially the aerial ones, because you actually have to have a pilot license, for real, like it's so serious, to even fly. Like, the guy that we use that does the aerials, he will write off and let you have it, but he has to have it. He's even built his own drone himself, like piece by piece. And so it's, pretty important for him to let everybody know it was his. So he lets you have it as long as you disclose that they were his. Like he's the one who took them, which it's an even trade for me. Yeah. I'm okay with it.
There's going to be a lot of, like, just think about whenever you get any kind of pictures, those like what you can, what are you getting and how much, what are you getting it for? What kind of license are you getting it? So you just want to make sure of that. So I thought that was a good scenario to walk through. So scenario number 2 is we have an agent who has a military buyer who's not local. Okay. Uses her relationships with her lender to set them up for VA financing. Client discloses to the realtor, agent. Well, it doesn't matter in this scenario, but discusses with the agent. He has a home in Texas. He's listing it, should be sold soon. Okay. Lots of text messages back and forth between the agent and the client about, hey, when's your house selling? He enters into a contract here in Virginia. In the contract, they do not select that there is a contingency. A contingency. They also say that they inspected the property in person before they purchased it, which was not the case here. Unfortunately, the client's home in Texas falls through. The agent then starts having lots of conversations with the lender and other parties, not with her client, about how her client has breached the contract. So what issues do we see here potentially?
Is this North Carolina or Virginia?
Virginia. What do we see?
Well, buyers got to close on the house whether they sold their house or not, or they're in breach of contract. Then the agent's in trouble for having discussions about the client situation without talking to them first. Those are just the two that stuck.
I mean, the contract is incorrect because it's saying that he saw it.
It's okay right now. Like my heart's like,
yeah.
There's a lot of issues.
There is a lot of issues here.
You know, physical inspection as well. Because I'm sure that wasn't done because they didn't check the box that it was.
Right. So what's going to happen here if this were to go into a court setting and the agent wants their commission, buyer's agent wants their commission? What do you think is going to happen?
I think the buyer's agent is a hot mess and not deserving of anything.
The buyer didn't get in trouble because they have the contract and they know that the buyer didn't actually see the house.
Right.
So they're already in trouble.
And did
well.
not properly advise.
North Carolina or Virginia.
Yeah,
they didn't. North Carolina, there's specifically a checkbox that says,
yeah.
If it's not, one is leaving off, one is actual like incorrect.
But the other thing is that the agent did not represent their client properly because they did not create the contingency based on the home in Texas.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think the agent's getting that commission. They're also going to get written up by the real estate board as well as probably facing legal action as well from the
Probably gonna lose more money.
Yeah, they're paying their commission.
So everybody knows in this room that as an agent you have a fiduciary duty to your client, right? Everybody knows that. So what fiduciary duties do you guys?
They're also saying online they know. Don't forget.
Good, thank you. You are not forgotten, I promise.
Got a secret message to myself.
So throw out a fiduciary duty that you think was possibly breached by this agent in this scenario.
Representing your client in good faith.
So loyalty, yep, good faith. So you have a duty of loyalty to your client, which means you've got to put your clients, their
Much like a lawyer, you guys are the experts. You guys know better than we do. We're the agent. We know better than they do. We know what they can and can't do, and and that person did not.
Right. So they're trusting you with that. So you have to put their needs ahead of your own, right? So what happened in this scenario is the agent was trying to chase their commission more than likely, right? So trying to chase their commission, get it to close, and when that happens, you put your needs ahead of your client, and that's going to always breach your duty. And so in Virginia law, anytime an agent breaches their fiduciary duty, they forfeit the right to the commission. Period. So that's automatic. And so that's just a good kind of thing to kind of think through, because a lot of times these things move so fast. You got so many things going on. It's just good to kind of take a step back and do your IRAC, right? Okay.
Is there any repercussions for a real estate agent?
Yes.
Signing, or what are there besides the D4 violation? For the real estate agent signing the last page of the contract, the buyer's name, the 16th page of the contract. They've initialed everything else, but they didn't sign the 16th page. You're
saying the agent forged the client's.
Correct.
You've had this exactly.
I have actually had this. I've had this.
Well, I asked because my best friend's mom is buying a house cash, and she's probably 75 years old, and she doesn't speak English as a first language. So, preface it with that. So, what kind of potential legal repercussions can the client have? We already know the D4 answers for everybody in the room. I'm pretty sure, and the fines and all that stuff. But from a legal standpoint, what can they lean on to maybe sue the brokerage, sue the agent, or maybe even bring
worst case scenario? What would happen?
Because it is fraud, in my opinion.
Or could happen.
Well, yeah, I think it depends on I don't know, what do they want to do with this? Do they want to go through with it or not?
They want to buy the house, but if the buyer's agent is different from the listing agent, but they are in the same firm.
Let's pretend like they didn't, though.
Yeah.
Let's do worst case scenario, because that's what happened with one of my agents. So let's pretend like they didn't want to buy the house.
So the person who didn't sign the contract doesn't want to move forward.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
Okay.
So, I'll let Austin talk about this too, but I think there's a lot of possibilities here. One is that you could certainly say, hey, they didn't sign the contract. You're not a part of the contract. The other issue you're going to have, though, is they say, well, your agent signed it and they represented you. And it seemed like, under agency law, if if they disclose that you're the principal, and then so the suit would be against the agent and the possible person who, their agent and the person who didn't sign. But they may hold them to the contract. So there's a lot of things that could possibly happen here, depending on how it was unfolded and what was disclosed in the conversation. Austin, I don't know if there's anything else here.
Yeah, I mean, that was my first thought. So, well, there's an argument to be made to not have to go through with it. Yeah. But I mean, everybody knows what happens once it's all ratified, right? Everybody sends it to everybody. The emails go out. Hey, we're fully ratified. So then the question is, well, what happens when they got that email that, hey, we're fully ratified? If they knew that they hadn't signed the last page, and they just didn't say anything. They're like, oh, well, hey, it's fine. Maybe there's a course of conduct there that they've sort of accepted and agreed to those changes.
Well, no EMD or anything's been transferred.
Yeah. I mean, let's say it was.
Well, and what I say, though, is you really want something just to muddy the waters. We know how few of these actually go to litigation. So you need something that just makes it not so clear, right? To where the other side has to make the decision like, well, yes, this, but...
Let's say that we went through everything. We got to we got past the home inspection, right? Past the home inspection. And the appraisal came in right on. They decided they didn't want it. They saw a better deal. And so they went through all this and they said, we want out. And the client knew that her signature was forged and decided to use that as a way out. And kept it in her back pocket.
I think they are too.
Yeah, I mean they've already gone through all these steps.
And it actually truly happened.
They were under contract to then only raise the thing. Well, I never actually signed the last.
Well, because the contract can be implied as well, and at that point, there's a lot of implied stuff that's already gone through. Yeah, the buyer's agent's in trouble for forging somebody's signature, but you as the buyer, you've gone through with this, and you were there for the home inspection. There's no way you didn't know.
Yeah. Well, the difference is what is illegal and what is going to get your license pulled.
Right. Well, I mean,
right. That's why I always say, don't say illegal. No, there's no cops coming to get you.
Well, I mean,
you might get a fine. There's no cops coming in, so let's not say illegal.
Now, get out of it. I mean,
that's why I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have a hard time with that.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I mean,
holding this out
in true lawyerly fashion, it depends.
Right. Yeah, they are the hard end.
Well, it's like you can at least the emails and the text messages, like right, because like
yeah, so there's
this in real estate law. No, most people dump that information, but a contract can be applied.
So I will tell you on the DPOR side of things and realtor side, I had an agent in the past that did this, and she was the sweetest little thing, and I felt so bad for her. I know she did it wrong, but I'm truly telling you, she's so sweet. And this guy was just a nightmare and decided that, he didn't want to be in the contract anymore. Of course, we got him out of it. Everybody came out unscathed. He then retaliated against her, which was sad because it was her own family member, retaliated against her and turned her in for forgery of an initial on, let's say, page 7. I don't remember the page. So I brought her in and I was like, Regina, what happened? And this is not here. No, Regina, you guys know. And I said, this guy is saying that you this is like the sweetest little Christian girl that you've ever met. And he's saying that you forged it. And she said, he's not lying, I did. And I was like, why would you do that? And she was like, he was so hard to go back and forth. He was yelling at me every time I would ask him to do something. And it was just one little initial on one page that wasn't even anything. And the rest was done, and everything was done, and I did. And I was like, oh no. So he turned it into DPOR thing. She went, I prayed so hard for that girl. They took her license. They fined her. They took her, she wasn't allowed to have her license for 3 years. That was the bread and butter of her family. But we were able to get her with another company to be an administrative assistant that way she could have some, funds coming in. But I mean, you think it's nothing. And the way they did it is he digitally signed everything. And that one was handwritten. Yeah. And of course she's like, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to tell him I did it. I'm not going to lie. But I mean, she was just crying and crying. I felt so bad. So it's just, sometimes things like that, we try to put, when someone forges it or whatever, a bad person behind it. And it's not always. She was just dealing with a very angry client and thought, I just can't. I know he wants it. I'm going to move forward. And
yeah, it's a tough deal.
Yeah. So,
all right.
We're not forging anything.
How much more time do I have?
You're as long as you want.
Oh. All right, next one. Okay, vacant property. Anytime you have vacant property, everybody's
39 minutes.
Alert system should be going off. So here's the scenario. This was a buyer. They bought this vacant property. They wanted to purchase it. Buyer was actually a real estate agent. It was in an HOA. And so they were excited. They're building this almost $1 million house, and they're going to flip it. They purchased the property, start building, and they realized that they got sued, saying they have to stop building because they didn't read the declaration on the from the HOA that said you have to build pile foundation. Okay, so they built crawl space. They spent about $50,000 putting this in, and now they're wanting them to pull it down. So as a real estate agent, you know, I just encourage you, anytime that there is, you know, vacant land, you know, people want to do improvements. I know there's the whole contract, and I think Susan Walker is going to talk about that at some point, kind of how to walk through that unimproved land. But just as an agent, just always be thinking about, like, just advising your client, like, hey, just so you know, you want to build, like, you need to read these things. You know, you don't have to advise them on what it says, but you can certainly just point them to that. Read the bylaws, read the declaration if you're going to build, because declarations legally have teeth. The court will uphold a declaration. And so there's very limited situations where you can kind of get out of that. So here, they're in a really bad spot. It's going to cost them another $30,000 to tear it down, and they have to spend $100,000 doing pile foundations, which they didn't obviously budget for. So just be thinking about that. Anytime you're on vacant property and you know your clients are going to want to build on it, and it isn't an HOA or a POA, just keep that in mind. One other quick thing that I learned here recently is, so here's the issue, here's the scenario. Have a lovely couple, and this is actually came from here, so somebody might be familiar with this. So this is a lovely couple went and bought this house that needed to be refurbished, spent a lot of money on it. Ended up finding out the city began sending them summons, which are misdemeanors actually, for violations of the building code or maintenance code, for lots of silly things. But in any event, misdemeanors were filed and things of that nature. And all they're trying to do is just flip this house eventually, right? It's a significant rehaul of this house. But now when they sell the house, they have these active building code violations. So what I've learned is that it is deed poor regulated and Virginia statute regulated that you have to disclose any of those types of violations, even if you just have notice of them. So there are some limits, but if you ever get in that situation and you need to know if you have to disclose, you can just simply reach out to us. We can kind of help you walk through that.
If you have to ask, the answer is yes.
Well,
honestly, if you have to ask if you need to disclose, the chance of the answer being yes is, I'd say 99.9%.
It's pretty high.
Err on the side of caution.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I mean, that was a very interesting, because I wasn't aware of that, particular need to disclose on something of that nature.
Yes, it's in the listing agreement.
These were violations that were fixed though, but they still had to disclose them, or they were still.
No, so there has to be an active. Yeah. So if they've been abated, if they've been fixed, you don't need to disclose them.
But the buyer got the notices, so they were never disclosed during the sale. The buyer ended up absorbing.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So it's like even with our client here, potentially when they purchased it, there was active ones that they didn't even know about. So, so it's just the FYI, just something to know, as you guys kind of go about your business. Yes.
Do these violations come up in title search, or some kind of when it's up for sale or any?
The only time they will come up is if there's a lien. Okay, so if they mowed the grass and then they didn't pay and they put a lien on the property, it'll pop, but otherwise it won't.
So if the owner doesn't disclose it that there were violations,
he has to know. So
I mean, he knows, but if he does not disclose it, till the city puts a note on the door, how do you find out?
Yeah, see, that's what they like. He has to actually have knowledge. Okay, otherwise you can't disclose it. So that is part of the requirement.
Let's say the seller does, what is the repercussion for the buyer after they've already closed and then they find out like this guy did?
So I think it's a year. They can come after the seller for a year for any damages that they have to do as it relates to fixing those issues. So they can get damages up to a year. Yeah. Yeah.
So this is a little bit different, but I showed a house recently. It was a triplex. It was actually a duplex, 2 properties on 1 lot of land. And then at some stage, the land next door had also been purchased. They had been taken in together. So there was a house on that. So it's 1, 2, 3 houses on 1 property. One of the houses had nothing in the listing, gave me any pause, go to show the house, and there is a notice posted on both the front door and the back door saying that it is you're not able to go inside due to, you know, whatever. Yeah. So I don't take my clients in there. The photos had never shown anything to be of any concern structurally. And I didn't see any warning signs, but I did not go in based on the posted notices. I contacted the listing agent and I said, hey, what's going on here? And 2 things. So 1, he was aware of it. He said, oh, that's not valid though. He said, I did know about it, but the owner's taking care of it, yada, yada. But I still feel like that should have been disclosed. Is that fair? And then second of all, apparently, allegedly, the word was that it was a disgruntled neighbor next door who had gotten the house condemned, and that allegedly that they were trying to demolish it, but that whoever had called it in had no rights to it, and the house is structurally fine. So now the fire marshal's going in and trying to figure it all out. So like, if someone has actual knowledge of all of those things going on, where do we land with disclosures?
I mean, I would just just to disclose those things. Obviously, it could easily be a disgruntled neighbor. That's a lot how these things are kind of generated. And so the issue is going to be is if there's a condemned notice on there, then I think that's obviously something you need to disclose. Because I've seen situations where people bought houses and it was scheduled to be condemned.
Right, and that's my question is like, what point would, if they had, because they were actively trying to remove these notices, if my clients had bought this, could the city have come in behind and still demolish it?
Oh, yeah.
And that wouldn't have come up in a title search?
No.
Wow.
Nope.
Well, you got a year.
Right.
But still.
I mean, that's significant.
It's a good thing to bring up.
I know.
And I don't know. Title policies take exception to that. I don't know, but
that's a good question.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. But yeah, there's a
title policy.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they take exception to that or not.
Sure.
Does anybody know why it's so crucial for you to disclose relationship and ownership of a property when you're the agent? Go ahead. You can answer because I don't know if they know for sure, honestly.
Well, I want to give anybody else a chance.
Nobody else raised their hand.
No. It's because you have extra knowledge, you have training, you have what could be considered an unfair advantage.
That's what it is.
In the situation. So you need to disclose that you're related to the buyer, if you are related to the buyer, because that buyer then is also going to have a better understanding and more input from you simply because they're your people.
Yeah. And also, besides that portion, there's one other thing. If something does come up along the way, you know that somebody who lived there or was a relative could possibly have known about that, as opposed to, it kind of keeps them accountable, of like, I better disclose it, you know? Not that there are people out there like that, but there was in the past, and that's how it started.
Oh, there's still people.
So you're saying the likelihood of having actual knowledge is higher when you're...
Yes, when you're related. If you're selling grandma's house, you've been in and out of grandma's house for the last 15 years.
You were there when they worked on everything, you know? Like,
you know when grandma put a new roof on. You know when grandma had rats in the crawl space. You know what you had to help grandma with to get her moved into the home so you could sell the house. Yep. You have actual knowledge that even though it's not your house, you're going to have to disclose.
Right. Jesse, what was the IRAC for? Can you tell me again?
Issue, rule, analysis.
Now this is.
Conclusion. Conclusion.
All right.
Well, that's all I have for you. The last thing I have is
It auto-corrected, that's correct.
Oh,
Yeah,
is
there you
it?
go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's saying it isn't.
It corrected it.
there you go.
Okay.
Conclusion.
Yeah, there you go.
I was like, is it
That's
one
all we
or
got. And just a shameless plug for JWL. I know we come here in our real estate capacity, but we do a lot of other things at JWL. Any of your clients, any legal issue, I want you to think law, think JWL. If we don't do it, we know who does and who does it well. Okay, so you can just orient anything through our office. We'd be happy to put that in the right direction or help take care of it ourselves. Okay, good to see y'all this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Captain Maurice, come on up.
All right. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. It's been crazy. Last couple weeks. It's been busy and then it's been slow and it's been busy. So it's like one of these little roller coasters. So we all just have to work really hard and continue to work hard. What's that?
I'm still waiting for the slow part.
Yeah.
It's not coming.
I know I've talked to a lot of people like top producers, loan officers, and real estate agents, and they've all said the same. It's definitely volatile. It's been up and down, just like the market has. Very volatile market, up and down. I think we had like 5 or 6 positive days, and then Friday the jobs report came out, and we went hit a little slide. This week's pretty flat, but there's a huge CPI inflation report. We all know inflation does what?
Drives interest rates.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Not all at one time. So that being said, we'll see what that comes out tomorrow. Other than that, it's we're here for it. I mean, it's we're all in it together, and we really just have to. I say it all the time. We have to be the best salespeople when it comes to our clients saying, "Oh, I don't want to buy now because of X." If you know that your client has a ton of equity in their current home, and they are a good client to go and buy that house that they really, really want, maybe try and talk them into it. I don't know. Be a salesperson. And, like I said, it's tough. It's very tough because some people are set in their ways, but a lot of people can be really moved and pushed to do things that, that they really want to do. They just don't, they're scared. So we just got to give them that warm and fuzzy. Other than that, thank you all for coming to the boat cruise. It was fun. I had a good time.
Yeah, it was a good time.
It was great. Beautiful weather.
I think it's the most that we've had. I know we've had 3 boats, but they were kind of scattered out. Like, I think that's the most that we've had with newer faces coming and everything. Yeah. It was nice.
It was great. So it was definitely a great time. So thank you all that came online and in the room, of course. And if you didn't come, you missed out on a great time. The weather was perfect. Food was good. Drinks were great. I wasn't looking at you, dude. I was looking at the thing. That's Jed. J-E-D-D. No. So anyway, so yes, it was a great time. So that being said, we got a couple things coming up. We have flood problems and flood solutions on Wednesday, June 13th at Gather, Virginia Beach from 9:30 to 10:30. And, just we talk all about floods and things of that sort.
Wednesday is not June 13th.
Well, tomorrow. Well, she put it wrong in the thing.
Okay, so is it tomorrow or is it June 13th?
Yes.
That's where the confusion is. Sorry.
Have them get me these so I can put them on our calendar so people know about them ahead of time.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, have them send, like, if they can get them to me before the first of the month when I send it all out.
I'll make sure you're added to the whatever the email thing is called.
The email, the slideshow, the Facebook, the text.
So I did just post this on your on the Coastal Town Realty page. So that's where the actual information is there. And then next up, and that's at Gather, Virginia Beach here at Town Center. And then the next one is our network. We're having a networking pool party. I know it sounds weird, sounds crazy. That was an old picture of me years ago. So I don't know if you've seen the picture or not, but I've never looked like that. Probably never will. Anyway, I love Chichos too much. I don't know. Anyway, so basically it's going to be June 19th. And it's on a Wednesday, if you want to check the honestly, because you never know. I just promote these things. I don't actually make the flyer. Anyway, sometimes I do. Anyway, so yeah, it's gonna be June 19th, 4 to 7. I'm gonna also post this on the Coastal Down page as well. It's open. It's going to be a good time. It's at our at Little Neck Swim and Racket, which is in my neighborhood. If you're familiar with the area, it's right off Virginia Beach Boulevard. If you know where the Home Depot is on Virginia Beach Boulevard, it's in that neighborhood.
And
right
June
off.
19th is Juneteenth, so we're closed. A lot of places are closed.
Yeah, so big party. Anyway, it'll be a good time. But yeah, anyway, other than that, that's pretty much all I had. Oh yeah, and I will mention this as well, even though I'm not a member of this, I know that Thomasina and Cindy are. The Women's Council of Realty, SEVA, SCVA, is going to be on Thursday, June 20th from 12 to 2. You know, I try to promote everything and anything that we're involved with as a team. So yeah, other than that, thank you so much for all your support. As a team, we had a record month in May. We did almost $5 million as a team, which between pretty much 3 loan officers is pretty decent in this market that we're in right now. So yeah, other than that, any questions? No? No? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Bill is not here, but his lovely assistant.
Oh, be Bill. I'm a teammate. Okay, so this got sprung on me about 15 minutes ago. So
you'll be fine.
Yeah, I was just texting Bill, like, I hate you so much. Pretty much what I wanted to go over is by the end of the week, you guys are all going to get an invitation if you have not already gotten one for a site called List Reports. So it's free to you. It's really cool. I'm also going to send out 2 links that have trainings. It's better than any training I could give you. One of the links I think is a half an hour. The other one's about 45 minutes. And she goes through everything the site has to offer. It's all free to you. It's all about marketing and making it really easy for you guys. So if you have a listing, you can do a single like QR code or a post. So that if you want to put it on your Facebook, you're not putting on the Zillow link and then you're going to send a potential client that you don't even know yet to Zillow, and they're just going to click on the agent that pops up on the bottom of the Zillow link. It's only going to go to you.
Just put up there. Oh yes, I love. Okay, she is in love with List Reports. Has always been in love with List Reports.
Yep.
And I literally was moving that and was going to take my phone and text her and say, I hope you heard that. But yeah, she obviously heard it. It's up there. She's super. Yes. She's done it forever. So if you guys want the insider version of the agent side, Jordan can give you a whole scenario of it. If you don't mind, if you could send me the information, List Reports are going to go live this day. I'll text it out to everybody so they know to expect the invite.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. But it's really cool. It makes your job really easy. I mean, you can even make what do they call it? Pictographics about like wherever the area. You just put in the address and it puts in the closest gyms or churches or parks or whatever it is. You can kind of fit it to be what it is. And there's also a lot of knowledge that is just dumped, and it comes in little bits and pieces. You can get a big report. I was actually just reading one just to kind of see what it looked like, or you can get a condensed version. You can just pop it on your social media. There's daily shareables. So if you're trying to have that like social media presence, I'm not great at posting. Some people are, but you know, if you just like want to just post something so that you're always hitting that algorithm and you're putting stuff out there every single day, you can just go on there and click what it is and just share it, and they'll customize it to your information. You can even make a text code, you know, text home or whatever, and it'll go straight to you and you'll get their information and it'll queue right into your system. So it's really cool. It is so much information, so much marketing material.
Jordan's
it's
really
insane.
right.
Yeah. It generates everything. Yeah. You put in like a zip code or just click a button on what you want to do and it'll bring in the houses that are closest, or you want to see single story homes, whatever you want to do, it will filter it out. You just tell it what to do.
And this is my answer to Yapstack crapping the bed on us. Is to use List Reports. So this is really good because it doesn't post it for you automatically, but it takes all of 2 seconds to post. You sign in there and you just click. All you have to do is click a button. It's got the captions written. It's got hashtags written. It's got all of the things. So it's not exactly like Yapstack, but it is the second best.
I know that KB Core allows us to do the same thing and also to post other people's listings within our company, which we do a lot of. Will List Reports allow them to post other agents' listings?
I don't think so.
Okay, so you have
Because
still use
it's only
KB corporate.
branded to you.
For that.
It's okay to
Yeah.
be branded to it. It's fine. But we allow all of our agents to share.
Oh, like if I was
in
an
the-
agent and I wanted to post your house.
Yeah,
that you
Yeah.
have-
If it's
Oh.
within,
Yeah.
I'm not sure about
We're
that.
one of the few brokerages that allows that.
Mhm.
But it helps, one, it helps promote the
Within
listing,
your own
but
team,
two,
yeah.
it helps the agent be promotable, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
So if there is a way to do that, that'd be great. If not, KB Core still does it. You can do it in there, no problem. But
There
it would
might be. I
nice.
might would defer to Jordan for that.
This is probably the first company Jordan's been with that she's been allowed to actually post other ones. So
Okay.
she hasn't had it for a
Yeah,
while.
that I'm still learning. There's so much stuff to do with it.
And you said there's going to be a class on it?
Yeah, I'll send out a couple links. We could do it as a team, or I can send out. Okay, we'll do it as a team. We'll do a list reports.
I would do it after the. Today's Popeyes, right, Christy? Today's Popeyes.
Yes, it is.
I would do it after the team meeting next month.
Okay, yeah, we can definitely do that.
Don't
And
forget to
then-
send me something though. Everything that we're talking about, any events or anything, make sure you send it to me because I gotta add it to.
Yeah, we'll do a whole list reports training, and then you guys will already have your invites, so you can go in there and kind of tool around. So that way you already have questions generated of like, hey, how did you do that? Or we can kind of problem solve there, or kind of share what's working for you or not working for you. But yeah, we can definitely get that on the books.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys sit down.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Hi, Brandon is out of town, so I'm just gonna step in for him a little bit. Don't mean to step on your toes, but we are offering, because it's flood season, it's hurricane season, June through November, flood CE credit classes. So if that's something that you all are interested in or that you need, please let Thomasina know or Christy, and we can coordinate hosting the class. We are approved through DPOR to teach the class and get you those credits. We'll also pay for it. So just keep that in mind. Quick question.
I would say schedule that.
Yeah, that sounds really good. Maybe next cycle instead of Popeye, we could do that.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay, just let me know. We'll get on the books. I will have a facilitator come in who's very seasoned. He has over 10 years of insurance experience and leads our sales team. So very, very knowledgeable. Is able to answer all the questions, unlike me. So, question, just random question. Do you know if everybody is in a flood zone? Yes or no? Somebody? Is everybody in a flood zone?
Yes, in Hampton Roads.
Yes. Actually everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just a matter of what zone you're in. It's either a low risk or a high risk. Can you get flooding if you're in a low risk zone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How tell me how can that happen? How can that possibly happen?
Storm drains back up.
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah.
Tidal inlets.
Because of like torrential rain or storms.
Heavy rain, yeah.
Okay, what if you have an AC unit and it's low to the ground and you're in an X zone and it gets flooded out? Do you have insurance to cover that AC?
No.
Not if you don't flood.
Not if you.
That's right. You guys are already knowledgeable. Okay, so anyway, that was just a quick quiz. Really want you all to think about that. It's a great idea for your clients to at least get a quote. We do offer FEMA and private flood. The private flood option generally better prices, better coverage, and normally when I wrote insurance, it was like $400.
When you get private insurance, you're running a risk though, because if everybody has to submit a claim, and that company just declares bankruptcy and nobody gets.
So
FEMA's the safer route.
actually it's not. These companies that are private, we don't write with anybody that's not a grade A, so they are financially solid. I would not want to go through the government. Well, anyway. Okay. So anyway, you guys have a wonderful day. Evertree Insurance, if anybody just wants a free look, just give us a call.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
I know that you guys have Alex's phone number, but Alex, can you give everybody Brandon's phone number as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now?
Well, I mean, preferably.
Okay. Sure. One second. I guess I can start with 757.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't have my readers. 757-627-3485.
Thank you.
And do want to just reiterate that, we want to be a resource. So even if you guys just have a question, call Brandon. he'll answer the questions for you, okay? And we'll have pop-by stuff out front. I'm gonna go out right now and get them together, okay?
Perfect.
Thanks.
All right, Tina, I know I saw her on here.
There
she is.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Good morning. Just real quick, if you're not watching social media and seeing the market has started to shift in lots of different areas. Of course, I always say it's zip code driven because in some markets, there's still multiple offers. But listing coverage has become super popular. So listing agents and their sellers can control the cost of the warranty being provided. So if you are a listing agent and you're not utilizing it, please reach out. So Maddie or I can educate you on the importance of doing that and how you can just protect your clients from the listing date to closing and also control the cost of what it will cost them at closing for the buyer. That's pretty much it. We did have a record break in May, thanks to all the wonderful agents that we are working with. And claim season has officially picked up. And so if you don't want your clients waiting on the traditional, then let's have a chat if you haven't used Achosa yet, because I get calls probably several times a week from agents who have clients with other home warranty companies looking for a local rep to assist because they're still waiting. So yes, I don't mind helping with that, but unfortunately, I'm finding in a lot of situations, there's no local reps to be able to assist. So let us be your resource when it comes to home warranty protection.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank
you.
you.
So much. I just put this up here for Brandon Fleming again. A lot of you have been using him. I've heard some great things. Just a reminder, he is for us and not to give out his info to somebody else or we're going to overload him to where we can't use him. Right now, he's exclusively for us. And then, of course, he has word of mouth in the area that he's in. But as far as real estate, we're the only ones who have him, which is amazing. But he did I know he did a big quote for David. Is David over there?
He will.
$24,000 quote for David. Went around. Terminated. Yeah, it terminated, but he went around 2 hours and did that quote. I know he's done a couple other quotes for some guys in here and gals. So continue to use him. It sounds like it's going great, but don't pimp him out. Keep him with us.
Hey, Thomasina.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey, Carolee.
It's Carolee. So I'm sorry, Braden's in an inspection. So I said, well, I will attend the monthly meeting kind of on Fix's behalf, and you do the inspection because that's outside of my skill set.
Perfect.
So that's where he is. But yeah, I just wanted to touch base. David, I'm sorry I'm sorry that deal did terminate, but from our perspective, it went really well. Like David was in touch with us, Brandon touched base with the listing agent, everybody was in communication, and so Brandon is very personable. He's very happy to kind of help everybody come to an agreement if agreement can be reached. And my other thought too on it is go ahead and use him. Like if you get the home inspection report and you're not quite sure what to ask for, what's important, what's a cheap fix, whatever, call us. Brandon will go through it with you. And then my last thought is that either in June or July, we're not sure, but Brandon's going to sit with Chrissy during Weird Shit in Real Estate. Nice. We're going to ask everybody to bring a couple of home inspections with them, and we'll go through them with Brandon. He'll tell you, This is an easy fix. It's $20. Don't worry about that. Hit this big ticket item instead. He'll be able to answer questions. So if you've got a transaction where you're kind of curious about some things, bring that with you, send it to Chrissy or I ahead of time, and then we can kind of pick his brain and use him and kind of get better knowledge, correct language, and how to word the pick rod, all that fun stuff.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Carolee. Tell Brandon.
Yeah.
Thank you as well.
I will.
All right. KB Core training. You have training within KB Core. There's also pop-up KB Core training that is happening, and they are sending out emails to you guys when that is happening for you to have it. But there is training inside of KB Core as well. Somebody had asked me this past Sunday, had texted me and said, I need a sign-in sheet. I can't find one. I don't have a sign-in sheet for an open house and I need it right now. And I said, well, KB Core has it, but here's Google. they have free ones too, which I think they ended up using the Google search that I did for them. But the KV Core one, I know Tanya has used, and both of them have used it over there then, and it's amazing. They sing its praises. So you can obviously just print out a sheet online, but I highly recommend using the one that they use. It's really nice. And it's an app too, it's a separate app that you can print. If you don't know about that, text Tanya or Samantha that they've used it. I can show you as well, but it's great. The B&R community was a success. It was wonderful. We all had a great time. Thank you all to everybody that came out, contributed. We were able to cover the cost of the plants and everything, plus give them a little bit more gift cards. It was really nice, and they just love us. They said we're the only ones that they allow at that house in particular to do the maintenance and everything, because they never know what's going to come through there as far as children, and to keep their identity and everything safe. So they really trust us, which is great. And they had a child there when we were there, and they offered for me and Nikki to go in, and he played the piano for us. Yeah, it was really, really nice. So like, we don't really do this, but we trust you guys, and we think that he would enjoy playing for you when you come in. It was really nice. It was just great. So just thank you. It was great. It was wonderful. You guys did a great job on that. Round of applause. You guys did a very, very good job. We do still have our spring sell-a-thon. Some of you, I think, may have already hit some of these. Make sure you go out there and look at it and let me know if you've hit anything, so that we can put your name in, so we can make sure that we get you the things that you have earned. So that's on a self-paced. You just bring me what you have, and I can totally get that in. Lucy, you are up, ma'am.
I have stuff.
I'm scared, Nikki said.
I want to go over something that everybody is doing wrong. Everybody's doing it wrong. We're having a lot of unrepresented buyers and sellers coming through right now, and you're not filling out the contracts correctly. When you have an unrepresented party, Coastal Town and you as an agent are still representing that party. You're just doing it in a different capacity. So on your purchase agreements, if you've got the buyer and you're at a for sale by owner, don't put NA in listing firm. It's Coastal Town. You're still the listing firm. You're just doing it in a different capacity. In your purchase agreement, pages 11 and 12, 16A is where that is written out. If you have an unrepresented party, you're either going to do number 1 or number 4. Number 1 has the unrepresented buyer. Number 4 is the unrepresented seller. That's where that is defined, not on the listing line, not on the listing agent signature line. You're still going to fill all of that out, and you're still going to sign all of that as both sides of the deal, just to make sure you're checking the correct box in the body of the contract under 16A. That's where that is defined. You are simply representing those people as a customer, not a client. You're still representing them. Okay? Questions? Everybody's doing it wrong. And it's really long for me to type it out in the comments and say, next time. So no more next times. You're going to get rejections now because I've said it out loud to everybody. It's Coastal Town in both spots. It's your signature in both spots. It's number 16A, pages 11 and 12, where that is defined. Questions? No? No. And then I'm going to
That's a good one to bring up.
Throw out again, because it's still a thing. Tax records are required for me to approve your listing documents.
Yeah, we have to have that.
LLC and POA, powers of attorney, estate documents are all required, because the name on the tax record doesn't match the name on the signature line, and I'm not approving anything until I have the document that makes them meet in the middle.
Yeah, I promise you, we've been bitten way too many times on it.
Okay.
For her to pass that over.
So just know, and then because of RAIN and their 1-day input rule, chances are, to track all that down, you're going to now have to go back and change the documents and get them initialed, which is another delay. So just make sure you've got everything up front before you submit your documents. Otherwise, they're getting delayed. Okay.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you, Lizzie. Thank you. All right, admin agenda number 1, when you have a referral, make sure you put it in brokerment, and you're going to put it by the client's name that you referred and then the state. We've been getting referrals and we're taking hours calling and texting and trying to figure out whose it is. It's just not, it took us 2 days, this last one. So we've got to, we want to give you your money, and we do, but it needs to be in there. And if you just put the client's name and then the state, at least we've narrowed it down to like 3 or 4 people that would possibly have a referral in that state. So if you do that, it's easier for us to find you. We can get you your money a lot faster. Another reminder that I do not have to sign your listing change forms. The only, I got 3 this weekend. I like to sign your listing change forms. The only time that I would sign a listing change form is if a client refuses to sign. And the only time I would agree to sign that is if we are pulling it off the market or something was dangerous, or you are in danger, or the house isn't correct, I would sign to take it off the market. But if your client has already signed, you don't need my signature. It's only there in emergencies if you cannot get the client to sign. So don't hold everything up by waiting on me to sign that. You can just go ahead and push it through. All right, we're almost done. I know, that's because they're online, we're talking so low. All right, so we're going to go through some of the classes. There's going to be more on these once I get it from everybody that was talking in the meeting today about different things. We've now, added some of our vendors to our slideshow. This will also be out in the lobby as well all month for everybody to see. That's just our cellophane again. Don't forget to check that, guys. And then there's this month's trainers that we have. They've all worked really hard for what we're doing this month. I hope you guys come to the classes. They're really, really, really packed in. Round of applause for everybody who had closing, new listing, under contract. Well, the past month. All right, listing agent for transactions and volume with Gail Driver. Closing team for transaction and volume, Manesh Nikita Homes. Oh, well, okay. I think it skipped over the other two. Looks like it's glitching for some reason. All right, $1 Million Club. I don't know why it was just glitching there. Well, they're all posted out there as well. And also, somebody asked me, isn't Manesh and Nikita the only team we have? So they're just up against themselves? No, we actually have 3 teams. They really are truly winning. Like, they actually beat 2 other teams that are out there. Happy birthday, everybody, and happy anniversary, which is great. And then I also want to show you, though, Alexis Black. She just joined us. She is not here. She just joined us. Christy is her mentor, so we will see her more and more around. She's been doing really well. Within her first month or so, she's already gotten some people ready to work with, which is great. Super proud of her for that. And then I also wanted to, before you leave, let me go back in here real quick so I can tell you who. Obviously, Manesh Nikita Homes had both closing and transaction for buy side and sell side, all 4. So round of applause for them for getting that. And then, one moment. Gail was our listing, transaction, and closing for both was Gail. But the other side, I'm sorry, for listing, the other side of closing agent of the month for volume was Jeff Chance. And closing agent for transaction was Gail Driver again. So There we go. I just want to get those out too. All right, we're gonna close in prayer and then we are done. Lord, thank you so much for the May that you brought to our organization, our families. We appreciate every bit of business that you put in front of us. We thank you for our attorneys, our closing attorneys, our loan officers. We thank you for the agents that are doing this. We thank you for the families that are backing the agents that are doing this. And we thank you for the family we are. It's in your name we pray. Amen. All right, you guys are good. Everybody online, we will see you next time. Thank you for joining in. We had a good amount online too, which is nice. Cool.
Bagels out here.
Oh yes, thank you for saying that.
Thank you, Austin.
Yeah, so I gotta put them one by one in manually, so you'll get.